Good evening, everyone. Let's talk about it. This is just going to be me and you just hanging out tonight. And I really want to talk about the other nights on Sunday night. As you know, or some of you may know, that I went in to one of the men's panels, and it's always a good time when I hang out with Corey Black and Kojo and Sean and David. These are good Black men that are trying to make a difference out there, right? So we had a guest come on. Well, I was actually a guest coming on, and it was a good chat. The guys were asking me questions, and the truth is, sometimes I am not as like jabbing because I have been there, because I have been that person, and the Lord has not fully delivered me yet. And so sometimes I just sit to listen and not be combative. Um, but a few things came up last night. We had a guest come on the show that's all she wanted to do was be combative. And when I say communication is key, I'm going to give you a little example. As you know, I was born in the South, but raised on the West Coast. Used to live and work in LA, and at a sister department, there was an agent that was throwing chairs, yelling, cussing, and just carrying on, right? And what happened was I spoke to a peer. I said, "What's going on?" She said, "Nobody hears you when you act like that. Nobody hears you when you talk like that. All they can hear is you're an asshole. Nobody can hear you. People shut down. When you start to yell, cuss, scream, they only hear that you're an asshole. Nobody cares what you're talking about." So when I just sit back to listen, that's why. Sometimes I'm not successful at it. I'll be very honest with you. um, Sometimes I'm not successful at it. 2 weeks ago, I was in the chat, and if Monique King is in here, if I do see her in here, she was in there as well. And I was just on a sister podcast, um, and I thought it was her podcast, but she was actually helping a fellow YouTuber, right? And a guy comes on, says that he hates Black women, and that there's Monique. Hey, Monique, how are you doing? This is going to be real quick, but I don't know if you remember a couple weeks ago, I went into a live thinking it was one thing, but it turned out to be another, right? So a gentleman said that he wanted to be with a Black woman, but he was scared. Said that he's teaching and training his two sons to date white women or date outside their race. And he just basically went clean off, right? So I came in, and he said he had proof because every time he talks to his friends, they've had the same experiences with Black women, and Black women are horrible people. And he just went clean. He just started going in, right? So I come in and I said, "So your proof is you haven't had issue with this one Black woman, and he has two baby mothers. So he's had proof with these two baby mothers. Then he talks to his friends. They're having their same issue, right?" And I was very disturbed by what he was saying, but I came in and said, "Okay, hi, how are you doing? I'm Crystal. What's your name?" Like, I did not come in with negative energy. But there was another Black guy on there that didn't hear me being cordial at first. All he did was say, "That's what's wrong with you. You don't listen." And he started jabbing Monique. Testify. Did he take me there? Like, I went off on this guy. And this guy said that that's wrong with Black women today. And I was actually coming in and saying, okay, so you have proof that all Black women are bad because of these two Black women that you've dealt with in your life. So now you're training your Black boys to date outside their race. That he said he's literally training his two sons to date white women. I was, I said, I just need to talk to him. I just need to ask him, so why, because of these two women, you're now against all Black women? I couldn't even get that out because the other guy started hammering me. And what happened, Monique? I started hammering right back. And I didn't think that no one's seen me like that. No one's seen that side of Crystal, but she does exist. And so when you see me on the men's panel, when you see me or on another show or on CMK, I am the nice, polite, fun Crystal because I have been there, right? And in the chat the other night, Sunday night, when I was on with Kojo and Sean and everyone, they're like, Crystal's boring, I said, you know what? You really don't want to see me the other way. You really don't. And it was disturbing that this man has had so many issues and so many heartache with these two women. So now he's training his sons to date outside their race. And, this guy comes on and says, see, that's the problem. That's the problem. That's the problem. It is so frustrating that the other night, when we were on our, this is my, Kojo is such an inspiration to me. We were on with him. This young lady, she was basically proving the guys right that say that Black women don't listen and they just listen to be combative, listen to just listen to respond. Like everything that she was saying was specifically to break the men down, right? Um, if you guys want the link, you can. I'm not sending the link to everybody. I just wanted to come on real quick because I really had to get this out. So Tia's saying, do you think those guys are just saying those things to get women riled up? Well, you know what's so interesting, Tia, that you say that because Sean asked that question the other night. He said, why in the chat, if I have an opinion, do women think that I'm mansplaining or I'm a KS junior or something like that? And I said, they're just saying that just to get you riled up. They're just saying that to be combative, to try to, so you can go back and forth with them. And honestly, and Monique can attest to this, that guy took me there and I had to turn my camera off because I was livid. I don't know. I hope I turned my camera off because I was in his face yelling and screaming. And I do feel like on one hand, they want to get you riled up. They want to be the angry Black. They want to see that. And and I said 2 weeks ago when that happened, I said, I'll never do that again because I don't want to, one, be known as the angry Black woman. And I don't want to be, because social media is so prevalent, I don't want to be go viral for me just literally cussing out a Black man because so that took me there. It is frustrating, and they do that just to rile you up, but they know what they're doing and saying to get you to respond, to get you to trigger us. Okay, so and Monique is saying the other guy tried to say you were angry after you left. I let him know you're the host. I let him know you host a men's panel and you never like that. I never like that, and I'm never like that specifically because I know that I can't get angry. Like I said, I'm an Aries. I can get angry. I'm fire sign, so I am never like that on purpose. On purpose, I'm never like that. And because when we're always combative, and it just doesn't find an answer. And as you know, just like the other night with Annalicia, David asked her, so what is your solution? Instead of coming on here and berating and cutting down, before I did this show tonight, I said, let me go on and take a small deep dive. Sean sent me a couple links, but then I said, let me take a couple deep dive and actually listen to her rhetoric, listen to what she's saying. She has some points, but when she literally is on here calling black men coons and just calling them all kinds of things, and I said, no, that's not my brand. That's not my brand. But I'm never like that on purpose, because what is that going to help the situation? When we sit here and call black men coon and say how horrible they are, what's the solution? How could it have been diffused? It would, well, and the thing is, we tried to diffuse it. That's what's interesting. We definitely tried to diffuse it. We tried to find a different way. And honestly, I know people were talking because y'all know me and my facial expressions, but also another thing about me is I'm very loyal. And when she started coming at the guys that are our friends, but she literally turned their words around. And another thing, when I talk about my experiences, there's things that I don't agree with some of the guys on the men's panel about, right? But instead of saying you're wrong, you're an asshole, all of these things, that's not my experience. That's not my experience. Sean and I had a disagreement. I was like, that's not been my experience. I'm not going to say how what a horrible I'm not going to call black men coons like and or dusty or all of these things, because they are called enough things all the time. So that's why I talk about like communication and how to communicate. When I talk about seeing those negative experiences, seeing those negative things, like I said, I've been in a workplace where a guy's literally throwing chairs, yelling, cussing people out. Nobody hears you. Nobody hears you. All they hear is that you're an asshole. So that's what was really frustrating me. And also, it was also just proof. Like when the guys say that we don't listen, and then you have women on here that are trying to listen, but then you have that. What's High Vibe saying? I think the worst thing you can do when someone is angry is to tell them to calm down. I do. I agree with that. I agree with that. Actually, people tell me to calm down even when I'm not angry. So that's happened to me. I will. I agree with that, because that's not helping the situation. But when you're and I hear the passion, and I hear the passion, and I hear the frustration. That's what I was like. Gosh, I wish I really could like build with her and really like try to find out where that came from. And the guys, and see, here's the thing. When somebody takes out a loan on your resentment, like who took out this loan on with you on resentment and anger, it doesn't help. Like you guys, we cannot, especially we as women, we can't sit in our anger and no, excuse me, in our anger. When we sit in it and we let it fester, who does that help? I know who took out the loan on me in resentment. I know his name. I know how tall he is. I know what he looks like. And I wish I didn't. But at the same time, I know that he doesn't look like every man, every black man. He is a black man. But I know that that's not every black man. And I know that I can't blame other black men for that situation. So So I'd say no, AW. I'd say no. It's no proof because we're absolutely not a monolith. We're not a monolith. But they take that, and so what if there is a good black woman that comes along, then because of whatever the last woman did to you, then you're going to treat her badly. And we're absolutely not a monolith. Every woman is not the same. Every situation is not the same. That's absolutely true. Um, and it also frustrates me when you don't listen and you turn people's words around. Okay. So we use the experience of, because I have three brothers. Lola was saying she has seven brothers. I have three brothers. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background. My two oldest brothers married outside their race. Okay. I asked why. My middle brother, he was in love with her, but and they have two kids. and she has since passed away. But my oldest brother, I asked why, because I really want to know. And I'm not saying that, but I really want to know, did he did he look to date black women? And he said no. He said no. And that does frustrate me, because I can see if that's who you met and fell in love with. But if you specifically looked for another race because of your because of your assumptions about black women, that is where I have an issue with, because as you just said, we're not a monolith. Okay. So because of what Annalise is saying, I do agree. I do agree with your points, and I want to know, what we can do about it to make those changes. And we have to have a conversation about it and not just yell and scream. Passion and frustration are one thing, but she was insulting Kojo's guests. He asked her to be civil to them, and she refused. She absolutely refused. And honestly, and she was combative. Like someone like Lola, she was not, uh, she was just being frustrated. She was refusing to be civil. She was refusing to be civil. And every answer we gave, she wanted to combat that with an angry response. It was constant, and someone that likes to go back and forth with you without giving an answer. And I get that a solution is not going to be tonight. We're not going to come up with a solution, but we I was like, can she at least give like one or two points of that can lead us to a resolution? Can she give one or three creative points that's going to help the situation? And she couldn't. And the sad thing is, we were agreeing with her that this is frustrating, that these are things that we need to help. So AW saying it was a different kind of vibe overall. It was a different kind of vibe overall, because there were a lot of folks in the chat too I didn't recognize. Absolutely. There was a lot of people in the chat that I didn't recognize. Um and yeah, the chat was going crazy, as you know, but at the same time, like, and I don't mind that, because as y'all know that I have 62 shows and Kojo's got thousands. So I am learning and growing in this space as I have these men's panel. I'm going to be having women's panels coming soon, but I want to make sure that everybody has a space to talk, and I want to have everybody has a space to give their opinion on what's next. What can we do to make that change, excuse me. Yeah, she came in hot, the eyes rolling, etc. It was just out of place. It was, and this is the thing, we don't mind the discussion. We don't mind because hey, there's been times people have said things that Corey said something that, on one of the men's panels, and I was like, that makes sense. And I like the way he kind of changed my opinion on something, and I appreciate that. I appreciate when you change my opinion and you give your opinion to help me have a different look about things, help me have a different outlook. Because when I'm telling you guys, when we just listen to just be combative and beat somebody down, that's not going to help. And a lot of people in the chat were saying she's right, she's right, she's right. It's not that we're saying that she was wrong, but and then somebody said to me, I was the one of the people last night saying that she was right. But when you're saying so much, okay, she's right, she's right, she's right, you gotta go on her channel and she's calling men coons, and she's saying, I was like, wait a minute, that how is that helping the situation? Yeah. Actually, I think she did provide a few solutions. She said that good guys need to correct the bad guys and hold them accountable. She also said that black men need to take care of their community. True. She did say that. She finally did say that. She said, but and this is the interesting thing, because Kojo said, what is the solution? And but a couple weeks ago, he did a live and he said, no, this is a black man problem. So if you're trying to be preaching, you're preaching to the choir. You are preaching to the choir, but in an angry, frustrating, biting way. So that is, and honestly, we have to stop like taking out this alone on your resentment and your anger. And when I said at the end, I said, don't emasculate a man, I've actually seen it. I've seen a friend of mine um, say to her, well, her ex now, why don't you get a job? Why don't, and just emasculating them. And that's what I meant. And of course, I was not going to explain to you guys why I said that. But, but when we have, a guy that if we want somebody that's going to be this type of leader, one type of leader, like Coach was talking about, the type of leaders that's more organized and the type of leader that's a little bit diplomatic, and we want that strong leader, and that's not who we have. We have to know who we have and who we want, okay? Because I have an ex that what I wanted that leader, and he was not that person. So, and that's what I mean. But at the same time, I didn't emasculate them at the same time. So it's hard work for us to sit there and say, don't do this, do it this way, do it this way, when you know that there are other men and women that are treating each other horribly. So AW. The odd part is Corey is probably one of the most neutral pro black women on the panels. He is, and that's what was so frustrating. That, and I said, "Oh, she obviously does has never seen seen any of the panels. She obviously has no idea who she's talking to." One, and she called them indocile. I was, and y'all see my facial expressions, and I said, one thing Sean Unfiltered is not is docile. So the fact that she did that, and I said, "Oh, you obviously do not know any of these guys, and for you to just come at them like this," I was seething. But as Monique was saw 2 weeks ago, I had a situation where a guy, one of these KS followers, basically took me there, and I said, "I will not do that again because this is going to come up again." Then next thing you know, I'm gone viral for being an angry black woman. And I was yelling and screaming. And the guy on the panel, I guess after I left, said that I was angry. And I wasn't angry. I was actually answering his question. So High Vibes is saying, right, Tia, that's where the panel could have jumped into the conversation on that point and ignored her anger. She would have gotten quiet if you all continue with the conversation. I don't think so, High Vibes. I don't think so. It was it was very much combative. If you were there, you would have known that, I mean, every answer was to respond in a negative way, to find the loophole. So if you are listening just to find the loophole, just to find where somebody's logic is wrong, that's where you're going to, until I say, okay, high vibe, you have a point. Let's think about that. No, that's not what's going to happen. You're right. It's because these guys are guys that listen and want to build and want to make change. But so when we go, so I did a deep dive, and there are shows on shows on shows about just how she said she hates black men. Black men are black men are this. They don't protect their black women, and she has a point. She had points, but she wasn't going to listen to say, how can we make it better? And I'm going to be starting my women's panel coming up very soon. And I'm getting my panelists together now, and I really want to know. I was going to do it on the alpha woman in a relationship. Does she even exist? But I really want to, the same thing that I'm talking to the men about, talk to the women about. How can we be protected? Because I admit there's there's a previous relationship that I know for a fact that I was not. But I take accountability for the fact that, you know what, I know what I wanted. I know what protection should have been. And I stayed a little too long. You understand what I'm saying? And that's why I decided to do the men's panel. That's why, because I saw all of these shows, like her show, like a lot of these women's panels, just like literally breaking these men down. And I said, you know what, let me do a different type of a show. Same thing with the women's, same thing with the men's panel shows. I was like, okay, let's do something different. You know, how can we make this better or find some type of solution? And I know that I'm just growing in mine, and I know that I want to be a little bit more, I'm not going to say assertive, but I know that there's better. I know that we can do better. I know that we can grow. Uh, so yeah, I did something real quick, Trey Mac. Okay, here I've been listening to her, and look who pops up on the notifications. Evening, everyone. Hey, how are you doing? Thank you so much for coming in. This is kind of just like a chat to talk about everything. I was seething. Basically, I was angry and I was really frustrated because our shows are not like that. Our shows are not to beat each other down and say, that's the problem with black women, or that's the problem with black men, or that's the problem with the society. Yes, we know there is a problem. And we know we're not going to find a solution today. But what can we do to move the needle forward? Somebody said last night that about visibility. And I think that is so important because a lot of people say, oh, well, black men aren't doing this or black men aren't doing that. But when that's all you see is the negative, then how can we change it? We've got to see the positive. Okay, so what I'm saying is to take her point and pose the question to the other panel members and let them make their comment. Okay, so you wanted us to turn it around, so and say black men don't protect their women, and we could have turned it around and said, why don't black men protect their women? There was gonna so if you had seen, I hear what you're saying. I got you on that. Um, there would have been no way for us to do it because she was answering a question with a question. So she said they don't do this because of this. Like it was constant. So I hear what you're saying. I'm not necessarily negating that when you're in the chat and you're not seeing it, it was constant. So I hear what you're saying, but that's not what we could have done. And it was a teaching moment. And honestly, I appreciated the teaching moment because to me, you know, a lot of black men say that, or not just a lot of black men, but men in general, we don't listen, we're angry, we're combative, and all we're doing is be angry and all of these things. And that's exactly what was happening. I hear what you're saying, but that's not what could have happened. Okay. And honestly, it taught us what we could have done and what we're just, it wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to happen. So to take her talking point and to turn it around and say, so if she said, well, black men don't protect black women. So if we were to turn it around and say, why don't they do that? There was no space for that. There's no space for that. But I appreciate you saying that. And yeah. What was AW saying? People have to stay out of YouTube misery vortex. I'm glad that I took a deep dive before I came on here. I really wanted to. Sean sent me a couple of things, and then I took a deep dive more into this. And they called her red pill raging, and I said, "What?" So she just sits in her. She said, "I don't get out much," and she's just red pill raging, and that's what she does. And so Yeah, I agree. And honestly, sis, aren't you tired? Some people just want to be miserable and find things wrong with others in a way that pulls you down, and it's everywhere. And absolutely, it's everywhere. I was like, you can't be sitting in your misery. You're sitting in your anger, sitting in your misery, and you're not finding a solution to the problem. All you want to do is, and what really took, and as you know, it took us all out, is when David asked the question, so what can we do to solve it? It's not my job to solve it. It's not, you're asking a woman, you need to be asking a man. And I said, wait a minute. You sat here and spewed rhetoric, angry rhetoric for an hour, and you don't have any idea what to do to solve it. Even if it's nothing to, even if you can't solve it, let's have 3 points to move the needle forward. Let's have 3 points of an idea of what you want to do or what you can do to make it better. There was nothing. There was nothing. Okay, yeah, Tremac, she had valid opinions, but the more she spoke, the less I heard until all that was left to hear was the anger. It was sad. It was sad actually. And that's honestly, I was like, and one of the gentlemen they asked who, and he didn't put it this way, but who hurt you? Who hurt you? Like who? And honestly, I really wanted to say, like, who put this deposit on your resentment? I keep saying this whole show, like, who did this? And of course, she's not her business to answer the question. But why are you so angry? And again, I know who put the deposit on my anger, but not every man looks like him. Not every man, and I am so glad that honestly we talk about it, go to therapy, and move past it and grow from it and find out, you know, what we can do to make that change, what we can do to make things better, and you can live through it. But I also work from experience. I also work from those experience that I have. That's why I wanted to do a men's panel. That's why I want to do a women's panel, because our experiences are just that, experiences, and those make us better. Make us want to make changes. But you can't sit in your anger and let it fester. Yeah. So Brownsburg, what's up, Brownsburg? Her approach is confusing. She says she cares for Black men, but then is infamous for being combative and disrupting Black men. I get so confused by people like that. I get confused by people like that as well. And again, I took a deep dive, and I was like, after she called several men coon, and after she I was like, I can't, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna, and call them all kinds of I was like, wait a minute. And so there was a guy on there that on one of her shows that challenged her and said, I've never seen a light-skinned Black woman call other Black men coon. And she's like, are you a coon? Are you here for your coonery? And I was like, whoa, like this is, and again, that's not my brand. That's not, and I don't want to be known for that. And I don't know that how that's going to help the situation. Yes, I did find that out, and I didn't know that I wanted to bring that up just yet. Yes, she is a single mom, and she's been disappointed by Black men in the past. She was downright insulting and painted Black men with broad brush, and that's so funny that you say that, Sean. Because and I did hear that she's her father's from Trinidad, and of course her mother is white, but I don't know where exactly her mother's from. I heard it, but I don't remember. But she said when she first got on that she did not want to paint a broad stroke, and that's literally exactly what she did. When you do that, how's that helping the situation? How is that growing and learning and making the situation better? You're right. Black men are out here dating outside their race. A lot of Black men are not protecting Black women. Um, A lot of black women are making more money. There's all of these things are true. How can we change it? And again, I got very protective um, because I saw where not only did she come in specifically um, to rage at Corey and then at David, but then turn their words around and then ended up repeating everything that they had said for an hour and a half. So in our shows, we don't want to sit there and sit in our anger, but find a solution. So, Corey said, in my experience, this is what happens. A lot of black women say, oh, you must be like my ex, or you must be like this, or you must be like that. And that's not true. And somebody said earlier that he is one of the most liberal type of guys that really are for black women. And I said, she must not know us at all. And for you to come in here and be combative, that's not going to help the situation. Thank you so much, Future. Sometimes I am more the um, quieter, even tempered person because I have been taken there. Because there have been situations where I've been angry. I'm again, like I said, some of you guys weren't here 2 weeks ago. There was on another show. I was so angry, screaming at this guy that was there with another gentleman. The gentleman was saying that he's talking, and I'm just repeating this a little bit for the people that just came in. Um, there was a guy on another podcaster show that said that he is training his black men, his two sons, to date outside their race. He wants them to date white women. And he said that he'd like to be with a black woman, but he's scared. He has a black woman now, but she's angry and she's mean and she's this and she's that. She's horrible. She likes to be thoughting it up. Like he was really like degrading this woman. And so I got on and I said, so you've had this issue with your two baby mothers, and now you're angry at all black women. So, and all your friends sit there and berate black women. So before I could say anything, before I could do anything, um, these guys start going at me. And that's the problem right now. You're just like all of them. And I literally lit into this guy. And I see Jay in the chat, and same thing. I saw her show from last night, and the Lord is not fully delivered from me yet. I am really calm and relaxed on my shows because I have been angry and would have been a different person. So because of that, I said this to the guys before Annalisa came on, that some people want to get you there. That's their whole purpose. Some people, and it would have been about a little round rage. I'm telling you, I've been there. I've been there, Jay. I was there 2 weeks ago, and I do think, excuse me, that they want to take you there. They want to, and then after I left the show, they were saying that I'm angry. They called me an angry black woman. And I said, that's not my brand. That's not my brand. So yes, this red pill, people use this red pill analogy too much with no understanding. Red pilling is the process of freeing your mind from the trappings of a false reality put forth by the oppressive power base. We're going to have to take a deep dive into that, y'all. Yes, my passion is to unite people and to gain some understanding and to find how we can do better. And to find out how we can do better. It was just so frustrating when all you want to do is saying, what's going wrong? What's this? What's wrong with this? What's wrong with black men? What's wrong with black women? But you don't want to have a resolution. And then when we ask you for a resolution, you're like, it's not up to me to find a resolution. Oh, but for an hour and a half, you want to sit here and berate everybody and say what how horrible people we are. There's so many things, and you know what, Jay, you said something else, and I've been kind of weary about touching on it too. You know, I really want to. I'm going to be touching on colorism as well, but we're so divided on so many levels. The divide between Africans and Black Americans is a huge divide. It's a huge divide, and we've got to get better with that. We've got to, and you know, I worked in LA for 5 years, and I worked with an all Black, well, it was majority African production company. So it was myself and another guy were the only two African Americans. It was very interesting. Um, so yeah, we really want to get those stories out there. We really want to get the visual of how we can work together, and we want to get we want to change the narrative, but we can't if we're so divided. That was so frustrating because I said, stop proving these men right. Stop yelling and screaming when not proving these men, and you're proving these men right. You're proving exactly what they're saying. So I'm going to be starting the women's panel very soon because I really want to talk about what we can do to make change, what we can do to um, just communicate better. And honestly, you have people like Jay and you have Seaway and you have Lola who really want to change the narrative and make change. But then, we have one person that doesn't want that. It's hard, but we're going to keep trying. We can't not. Yeah, and Sean touched on it earlier. I think they said her father was from Trinidad. You know what? I do think it is deeper than a romantic disappointment. I do. I do think there's more there. The fact that the topic was about the father who took his pregnant girlfriend's life, the first man said he understood why he did it, and the other man called you angry is disagreeing angry for disagreeing. Okay. Wait a minute. Are you back to the podcast a couple weeks ago? The fact that the topic was about the father who took. Okay, so there was a father, a Black man who took the wife of his pregnant girlfriend, took her life. He killed her. The first man said he understood why. Yes, he understood why he took her life. He did it, and the other man called you angry for disagreeing. And I said, so I was angry for disagreeing that he took her life. I was angry. Hold on. You've been doing. So I remember I said, you can't be okay with this man taking her life. You can't be. And I said, I disagree. You can't just keep saying, oh, I understand why he took her life. And then he started asking, do you think that all Black men are inherently good? And I said, yes. But at first I didn't. I said that and I really wanted to explain my answer. He didn't want an explanation. So he just wanted me to answer the question there. But you have childhood trauma. You have different things that people deal with that yeah, not everybody's going to be inherently good. You have childhood trauma. You have different things that happen to them. Um, and then not everyone is good. He wanted a percentage. He wanted a percentage on the spot. He wanted me to get a percentage on the spot. And yeah. Okay. Thank you. Like I said, but I know that I listen. I got angry and I was yelling and screaming at this guy. And I said, I'm not going to do that again. That's not my brand. That's not who I want to be. And I don't want to be the Black woman yelling and screaming at this guy. And then I'm proven right because all they were saying is how Black women are horrible. Black women are this. Black women are thotting it up. Black women are just trash and all of these things. And then he took me there. He really wanted to take me there. And that's what I was saying to the guys last night is that there are KS people in Kojo's show. There are red pill, pink pill people in watching the same show, and they are doing that on purpose. They're doing that on purpose, and we fall into that. How are we helping the situation? How are we making it better? I'm not surprised. I was surprised that she even came on. I knew whom she was, and I started to notice some of her followers invading the chat, almost like it was planned. Oh yeah, absolutely. Because as we said earlier, there were people, as High Vibe said, that we didn't even know. And I'm sure she made an announcement, and it's called a raid. That she made an announcement on her show. I'm going over to Kojo's show, and next thing you know, um, and saying, "Oh, she was right. She was right." I said, "Yo, something's going on here." I'm sure she did that, and that's what I'm saying. That sometimes that's what happens, and they're doing it on purpose. Get the guys. These guys are panelists that really want to take a deep dive into people's relationships and really want to take a deep dive into making things better. And that's why we do it. That's why we are here, because again, I've been that place. I've been that, just like Jay has said. I listen, this Aries fire, you really don't want to do that. You really um so Tia is saying, by the way, the red pill and men's right communities were started by white men. So there are some white men berating white, and that's another thing. See, her statistics were off as well. And I was so upset. And I was back there and I really did not want to say everything. And I said, there are plenty of white men or other nationalities that don't protect their women. That there are so many. Um, the no, I was gonna say the East Indian community, if you don't do what the parents say, they will kill you. There are so many. And you know what? I don't want to. There are so many that don't protect each other. But because the statistics, there was this. I'm so angry. See that, Tia? You're getting me back up again. So yeah, this was. Thank you, High Vibes. Thank you. Because, okay, Monique said, I'm a paid KS subscriber and honestly agree with 97% of his points. If you, um, it's a super fans, it's the super fans who twist and misuse his words, and I can't stand. I can't, I have, gone down that road and really tried to understand what his rhetoric is what he's spewing, what he's trying to say, and is he making things better, or is he at least trying to make things better? And a lot of people are saying, well, the thing is, he does want Black women to get married, but what to who and at what cost? At the cost of our mental health. So I hear what you're saying, Monique, but at some point we really have to. I really want to take a deep dive into what does submission mean to us and what does submission mean to our men. It's important. Yeah, it's important. What else are you guys saying? Yeah, I've been seething and I've been wondering how I can really talk about this. But before I came on, I wanted to go on and I really wanted to take a deep dive into her perspective and see how she ran her show a little bit to see, yeah, maybe if she is coming up with solutions. Maybe, she is not just talking and yelling and screaming and cussing because how is that a solution? But no, that's exactly what she's doing. That's literally what she's doing. Yeah. That's exactly what she's doing, cussing these men out. And I don't know, maybe I should be doing more of that. There has to be a pink pill community that she would actually fall in the same category of. But I don't even know. And do you guys think that she is a feminist? Because I don't think that she's a true um feminist. And to what level? So Trey Mack is saying those men are flat out wrong. They're trying to reuse movie terms for their own purposes. It came from the Matrix movie. God's sakes. Hmm. And I know that on my show, I'm really more, let me ask the questions, but I'm a little bit of not a little bit, I'm an instigator. I'm an instigator. And that's what, Kia Simone, she labeled me an instigator because I will keep pushing and pushing and pushing the question until we want to really get answers. And I also know that I'm at, not as many subscribers, and I am learning. And I remember, because I do little Kojo subscriber, and he said, in the beginning, he didn't, he didn't push, but I know that I am learning and growing in mine. Oh man, Treyback, if you did see me a couple weeks ago, I needed to take a minute. But and the thing is, what's funny is there's been times when I haven't been agreed with Sean, but I'm like, instead of being, rude and belittling and berating, I'm just like, that's not been my experience. That's not me. I don't agree with you. so, so I just, and maybe I should be more combative. Maybe I should be just rude and berating. But how is that going to help the situation? How's it? So then uh, we're yelling and screaming at each other. How is that going to help the situation? She's a confusionist. There are people who are just provocative. Yes, provocateurs. Thank you. Provocateurs. Yes. And honestly, there are those people out there that really just want to provoke you. They just really want, and honestly, it was so interesting. Like I said, I started looking at some of her things and some of her shows. And when a guy, not, I don't want to say got the best of her, but really wanted to ask a question and take a deep dive into her perspective, she said, don't try to twist your words around on me. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to, and I said, and he's like, that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm genuinely asking you a question. So it's so interesting because I definitely think she would really not want to go toe to toe with a Sean, or, because, or with Kojo just one on one, because one, and that's why I said I got so upset when she called the guys docile. I said, "Oh, you don't know these guys at all. Like you don't know. You've never been on here, so you're just trying to pepper yourself into different shows, into different uh, content creators. You're just really trying to berate them, and literally, she did exactly what I said before she came on. I said there are these people that are coming saying these things just to berate you, just to beat you down. Um, but I also think, okay, so if a man is explaining, what is mansplaining? Explain that to me. You're just saying that just to have something to say, just to provoke him. Literally exactly what I said. Just to do something to beat him down, to provoke him. Oh, calling him KS Junior or what have you, or what have you. Yeah, that how is that helping anything? So I really also want to take a deep dive into us really, and I said this earlier. I keep saying this. We let people. take out, just I hope it's just alone on our anger and our resentment, because you lose a piece of yourself if you keep letting that hurt fester. So I do know that, she's a single mom, and but yes, you've been hurt by men before, by black men before, but how is that helping anything? How is that helping the situation? How is that help? So the next guy, again, doing exactly what other people have done, is the next guy is going to be affected by the previous man, what the previous man did to you. I absolutely believe that she was a hurt woman, out here struggling and taking it out on anyone available. Absolutely. And how is that helping the situation? I have two brothers, like I said, that one would have loved to date a black woman, but did not. And then the other just never, that wasn't his, he didn't want to. He didn't want to. And he's the one that I asked, like, what is it? What is it? And I do think that he looked at his mother and his sister, and he said, I would think that she would want better. And I was like, wow, that because and I said, being that I was raised in California, there's interracial everywhere. So I said, I don't mind that you're dating outside your race, but you're only dating outside your race. That's what hurt me. That's what killed me. I'm like, but you don't even want to look at other races. You need to heal first. You need to heal first before you come on and berate other people. Everyone needs to heal, and if you don't want to heal, have a seat and be quiet. But honestly, she's wearing her hurt as like a force field. When you wear your hurt all around you, not even just in your chest, how is that, girl? You got to be tired. You got to be tired. You got to learn and grow. Like I said, I have been, and the thing is, like I said, I've been there. I said, I get your passion. I get it. You have points. You're right. Say that, high vibes. Say that. Say that. And it's so funny because, and David asked me a rebuttal question. I said, raised in California, I got a lot of, um, if I was approached by a black man, oh well, she just wants money. If the ones that did, so that is your trauma. That now whatever happened to you previously, you're putting on me. So God's gift Mike said, I love black women. I personally only dare, I think you mean date Latina women, but I don't have self-hatred or anything like that. So what's interesting is the explanation. So you said I only date black women, or sorry, you said I love black women. I personally only date Latina women. But then you said I don't have self-hatred. I wouldn't have thought that you had self-hatred. So um why the explanation? And so you've put it out there. So why only Latina women? Is that was around you? Because I asked, and David asked me, when I gave my conversation about dating, or not being approached, um, was it because of location? Was it geographically? Um, yes, to a point. And then I also said the black men that did approach me, um, were the ones that were okay, like very high military community, and high percentage military community. Um, they said that a couple of them were not in the same, and I hate to say this caliber, but younger than me. Um, that's when I was in California. That's when I was called intimidating, basically. So and we can go, but then yeah, we can have a deep dive into that later. So it was a different. It's just a different. It was just different experiences, very different experiences. So Michael, you said this is what I deal with being told to me for having my preference. What do you mean? Explain, Michael. Just ever since high school, they were the ones showing me love and were interested. Remember, as dark-skinned men have it bad, had it bad a long time ago till recently. That's interesting you say that. Um, I don't disagree with that. I don't necessarily disagree with that, and I think it's again that's visibility. Um, honestly, and we can look. We talk about movies all the time. We talk about when Wesley Snipes came on the scene. It's a different. Okay. So maybe we should be looking at some darker chocolate. You know, we talk about that a lot. So I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think it's the visibility. I think that um, there is a notion, and we talk about colorism a lot. That is absolutely a thing. Although I was raised on the West Coast, I was born in the South, and I know the paper bag ideology very well. So I don't dispute the frustration with not being shown love or not being shown that an interest. But I want to know about like showed you some love. So if you were to approach a black woman, what would happen? I want to really, what would happen? Only the Latina women. If you were to ask them out, they were the only ones that went out with you. Yeah, D'Souza, her delivery was off, but I'm still interested to have a deep dive conversation with her. Yeah, exactly. I would like to have a deep dive conversation with her, but at the same time, in looking at all of her, I didn't look at everything. There was a lot, but at the same time, and it gets frustrating listening to that. Honestly, like I said before I started the men's panel, I was like, let me look at some of these female panel shows, and I was like, I can't even listen to this anymore. Just like it got frustrating listening to um Kevin Samuels. I was like, I can't, in my preparation for doing my shows, I don't just, oh, on a whim, let me do this. I really do think about it and see how, what's the end result, what's the goal, not just to be doing it, just to be doing it. So I would like to have a deep dive conversation, but at the same time, when everything someone says is going to be listening to be combative or listening for the loopholes, listening to see how you're wrong. Um, and this is another thing, listening to win the argument. It's not a competition. We're not trying to have a competition with each other. We're not trying to have a and it's so funny, there's some people that say, I don't agree with you, but good points. That's absolutely what Kojo says all the time. Uh, Good points. I don't agree, but good point. Sometimes, like I said, Sean, that's just not my experience. But I do think that there are so many other shows out there, those other red pill shows and those other KS shows and those other followers, that we have to be the voice. We have to be a different voice, is my answer. We have to be the ones that really want to make change instead of just saying how somebody's doing wrong. You're already wrong. One episode of KS, I think the girl just gave like one sentence. He said, "You're wrong already." Like he just listened to just combat, listen to beat down, listen to beat down. And there was nowhere that they were going to find a resolution. So, and that's what the harm is when when we have issues like this. Um, okay, I'm gonna go to you, God's gift, Mike, in a second. Ooh, okay. You stated earlier the difference between Black Americans and African American people. Although I wasn't born in Nigeria, I was called booty scratcher, etc., by Black women. Okay, I didn't state a difference. I did state that there is a divide. Um, I know that because, and again, I know that my experiences and my mother's experiences, and why there is assumptions and a divide, but I didn't state them earlier. I definitely said that there is a divide that I would like to take a deep dive in. So, so I hear what you're saying, that, growing up, you were bullied, and you were by Black women, or, growing up, you were looked at as like this dark skinned guy. I get it. So now, so you dated, it sounds like, not just majority, but all Latina women. Okay. I don't, I hear what you're saying, but because of that happening when you were younger, so now you've painted all Black women with a broad stroke. Oh, and I appreciate you saying first that you love Black women. You stated that absolutely first, but you said that I only date Latin women because of things that happened to you when you were younger. Okay. Right. That's what I'm saying. He does that. So he'll listen, and then he's like, good points. I don't agree, but good, okay, good point. But when you and honestly, and that's another thing, we said, we're listening to you. We're listening to you. No, you're not. No, you're not listening to me. No, you're not listening to me. You're not here. And I was like, yo, this is not the platform for that. This is not the platform for that. And it's honestly, she wanted that. She wanted somebody to not listen. She has an idea that people aren't going to listen to her, that whatever happened to her in her past, somebody didn't listen to her, somebody was there to only to harm. And that's not true. That's just not true. That's just not true. So Tia said, I've lived in Philadelphia and Chicago and Harrisburg, and I have never been approached by Black men. And as a result, I have not dated Black men. Seems like a number of us have experienced this. Yes, it's a Tia. See, so, I think we need to take a deep dive into why. Why is hmm. What is Monique King saying? Great idea. Find out if she's worth your time. I respect willingness to find out more. I find out more before coming to a conclusion. And that's why I waited a day. That's why I said, let me look at a couple of these links. I'm not going to just um beat that. And we did not do that. And that's the thing. We did not just say, nope, you're cut off. Nope, you're wrong. We all said that you're right. We hear what you're saying. But you're so passionate. That's not the place for this. So I do want, and we looked, sounds like, um, we knew that, you're from mixed parents, and then you're a single mom. All of these things are, you have a perspective, you have experiences that takes looking at, that definitely takes somebody to say, okay, I hear your point, I hear why you're angry, but how can you change that? I do think that. That's what I'm saying. Do you think she had a bad experience with her child's father? Because I seen she has a child. I can see why she was mad like that. Yeah, and I'm not disputing her anger, but I am disputing her delivery. I'm disputing her calling the guys docile. I'm disputing that on her show she called Black men coons. and she basically said "f you." She was I'm disputing her delivery, and I'm disputing um how you come on not knowing the people that you are on a panel with, and are you're coming on just to not just rebut them, but you're coming on to disrespect them, and then you're saying that it's this is a discord, this is a conversation, then I can't have a conversation with you. That's not a conversation. And it's so funny because we all in our platforms, we know, okay, let me mute your mic. Now it's time for you to speak. We all try to have a conversation with each other. And that's not what she was there for. I absolutely know that she's had previous experiences. I've had previous experiences and that's what I said, that I would love to build with you, but and then we could probably I will understand your previous experience, but that man is not Black Mabia. That man, whoever did that to you, is not David. Is not these every man out here. But just like Black men that are painting all Black women like angry and all of these things, that's a broad stroke. That's not going to help the situation. God's gift, Mike. You said, nah. When she said Black men usually don't have fathers, I was ignorant to, because not having a father around equally affects Black men and women alike. That's very true. Not having a father in your life, I have a father and a stepfather. um but I'm closer with my stepfather and haven't seen my biological father in years. I tell now, y'all got me on here just spilling all kinds of personal information, but I have had a father in my life, and but at the same time, I do hear her pain in that. And on a previous show, we really took a deep dive into why the Black father was not around, and not all Black fathers were just not around. In the 80s and 90s, it was the drug epidemic and just all of these things that happen, and that Black fathers have had a lot of problems. And I'm not even trying to. What did she say, that we were coddling them? We're not coddling Black men. That is the last thing we want to do, is coddle a man. And then we talk about that all the time, that we want for Black men to hold each other accountable. The last thing we're going to do is coddle a man. So let's talk about that. So do you guys think that Black women are coddling Black men? Oh no, Tia, I don't think you do. Tia said, "Oh no, by the way, I don't hate Black men. I never have an issue with anyone for not being attracted to me. I don't either." You know, and it's so funny because I remember one of my friends that's a good friend to this day, one of our first jobs, um, and we saw an interracial couple, and she was like, and she's from New Jersey. And she was like, "Oh, Crystal, look at that." And I said, "What?" And she was like, we were at work, and she said, "Look at that Black guy with that white girl." And I said, "So?" Like, I said, it doesn't hurt my feelings. I don't, that doesn't make me angry. That's not something, and because I always assume whatever's going on in somebody else's household, that's what's going on with them. I don't, I don't have a problem with somebody, is not attracted to me, or is hasn't or has preferred another race. It doesn't, it never frustrated me. It never was something. Only my only issue is, and I said a little bit about my brother earlier, is when that's the only person you date. You only date outside your race. That's what my issue is. You haven't actually taken the time to date your same race, and maybe you fell in love with somebody of another race. That's 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 fine. That makes total sense. But when you only date outside your race For why? Because you have an ideology that is, do you have a negative ideology about black men, about black women, excuse me? Okay, I'm gonna go back to this. I'm gonna go to Trey Mac's comment, and then I'm gonna go up a little bit because somebody else asked another question. It was interesting. Um, Trey Mack said it's interesting. Every place Tia Maria mentioned had been a metropolitan northern cityscape. What would happen if she was near a southern city? I wonder. I believe you could attest to this, Crystal. I could, and that's what I said Sunday night. That it only. I really. I mean, and when. I mean, I got approached by black men in California. I'm not saying I never did, uh, but but it was not the majority. It wasn't even half. But when I did come to Atlanta, one, there's more black men in Atlanta, or there was more, especially in my area, or just in my area of California, and two, absolutely, um, that's when I got approached by black men. That's just honest. That's just honest. I do too. It's so interesting. I do feel protective of black men. Which men I hold them accountable, which means I hold them accountable, and will check them when necessary. And I love them at the same time. I agree, and that's why I wanted to check my brother. That's why I really wanted to ask the questions. And that's another thing that I've learned because I have been that other person that Jay was talking about. That I said, Crystal, ask the question instead of just berating, or instead of saying, well, this is why this happens, this is why that happens. Because again, I'm not fully delivered yet. That has happened. That I literally go on the mindset I have to write down, Crystal, ask the question. And honestly, if she came as let me ask a question and not let me be combative, she would have gotten a different response. And that's, I absolutely want to ask the question and check them, but love them at the same time. What do you mean you're not compatible, D'Souza? I'm not compatible with black men. I would have to change or be unhappy. Um, which black men are you not compatible? Expound on that. I really want to know what you mean by that. I really want to know why you said you're not compatible at all, and you said with black men, all black men. I really would like to know a little bit more about that because I think that's important. And I think somebody asked, because I asked, do you think that black women coddle black men? Okay, AW. I knew your question was up here. I knew your answer was up here, and I just couldn't let me. I said, let me go back. Um, honestly, to some extent, I think women coddle men in general. Okay. Do you mean we're protective as AW as High Vibes was saying, or we're kind of we feel a little protective, or what do you mean by that? Because I do feel like a little but as I said earlier, my protective nature was up on Sunday and a little bit on Monday because I was in the chat on Monday and I was like, yeah, I my protective nature was up on on Sunday and Monday because so as I said earlier, these guys are my friends, and when we're not there to have a good conversation and actually find solutions, I got very upset and angry and just frustrated with the whole process, with the whole situation. I said, this is not the place for this. So I got very protective and I'm very loyal. So what do you mean by I feel like we are protective, but we do need to know how to check them at the same time. Okay, I hear that you mean coddle, but so how do we coddle them? Expound a little bit. That's interesting. I don't think that's why. Huh. I will give you that. I will give you to and I was one of the people trying to not and I don't want to say blame his mother, but I was really trying to really sit back and watch, and I said, "Huh, I will give you that." I said, is this that mothering nature that's really not let this boy grow up and not let him have his own experiences?" And I do think that you're right. I do think that he's been made to just go out there and do what he wants and just move mad. I do think you have a point there. Mm. Women will do all kinds of word gymnastics to avoid saying something straightforward so he doesn't feel emasculated. I don't think that we need to. So I gave a beginning AW of an experience I had with a good friend of mine who um who did emasculate her ex, and I was like, why? And in my head I'm like, why is she talking to him like that? But at the same time, I don't disagree with you that we will do word gymnastics to not make him feel to kind of just stay in the relationship, and we don't want, even this is a relationship that we don't want to be in. So I don't think it's hard to make sure you're not emasculating somebody. To You can't just somebody sitting on the or get a job or like I think that's emasculating. I don't think it's emasculating, but I do hear what you're saying. I do agree with you that women will do all kinds of word gymnastics um, to avoid being straightforward. I do agree with you on that. I do hear what you're saying on that. Mm. Okay, God's gift, Mike. Wait, didn't Karen emasculate Miles? She said she doesn't believe Miles is a man um, because of his soft nature. He will nature as well as openly dealing with depression. She said that she wanted a man's man, and she didn't know how to deal with this. So in her situation, I believe that one, it was hard for her to be on camera. She's definitely somebody who had this like air of I want to carry myself a certain way. That's one. Two, um, she was used to that man's man. But I also think that man's man, the person that she's used to, her type, are the type of guys that hurt her, are the type of guys that she shouldn't, that she was needed to get away from, that she should have gotten away from. And I think that that's why um, that she kind of relaxed to that after a while. So it wasn't that, and we did take a deep dive into was she being emasculating, um, because she didn't say it at first, but I do think that she's been hurt in the past as well because we all thought that he was joking when he, wanted to right on the board have sex, and she said what he said scared me, so I went to my friend's house and stayed the night, and I said, oh. You've been I see that there was something deeper there. So those traumas are very deep. So I don't dispute like that how she approached the situation definitely could have come off as emasculating. Miles said that I want to read this again. Miles emasculating Miles. She said she doesn't believe Miles is a man. She's not that she didn't believe that he was a man, but she wanted somebody that she's very used to having a man's man. You know what I mean? That didn't cry, didn't do all of those things. But as we see, that wasn't what she needed. So that's I don't dispute what she said though. That you have a point. That her delivery could be perceived as emasculating. I agree with you. Zach is definitely. I agreed with him on that one. I agree with him on that one. That the mothering, the coddling, not combative nature, or the talk back with the dad, and the dad was like, he's kind of a mama's boy. No, he's not. Oh, yes, he is. You just proved it. Okay, Trey Mac. I do believe that your geographic location and how their communities function with one another will influence you and others around you when trying to garner relationships, romantic or otherwise. Mhm. Also, your friend groups. I think that, especially growing up, I think that how you relate to each other will have an effect on how you garner relationships. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. That's what I think. I think that she was used to that. Karen was used to toxic, and that's why she said that. But she also knew that that's not the type of person she should be with. So that's why they. I feel like that's why they worked out after all. So Monique, I was usually the one black student, the only black student grades 2 through 12, and went to a predominantly white university. I've only been attracted to black men for serious relationships. And I don't even necessarily. And it's so funny. I think that we touched on this the other night that if a black woman says that they'll date outside the race, he's got to look a certain way. He's got to be that Channing Tatum. He's got to be, and I don't I don't disagree. And you know what I really want to touch on? I want to say something funny. It's so funny because I feel like on Sunday night I really didn't get my words together. When everyone in the chat says to Corey Black, oh, we love your voice. How tall are you? I feel that it's just kind of a play on. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Mo Money. That our dreams need detail, because whether he says, "Oh, I'm 5'8", or he says I'm 5'3", or he says I'm 6'8", which is of course an exaggeration and a joke, but I feel like we see that voice and we only see him from here to here, and we just want to visualize. That's how I think of it, that we need that visual. We need to, okay, so he's 6 foot and I'm 5'6". Okay, you understand what I'm saying? That's what I feel like. Our dreams need detail. Give me let me know if y'all think it was you guys think I'm on something with that one. I feel like our dreams just need a little detail when we hear that, because we hear this voice, but we don't know him in person, and so we really need a little bit of detail to add to the mystique. That's what I feel like it is. So, God's gift. What did you say? So, with this being said, with Annalicia's mindset and the way she feels about black men, if she got a man like Miles, do you believe she would lose all that she believes in? Hmm. I don't think that she would. I think that when you say a man like Miles or a guy that's going to stick around, no, she would not lose all of those things that she believes in. One, she would not have a man like Miles because she would think that he's too good to be true, that that he's not, that something's wrong. She's going to be waiting for the other shoe to drop. There's always going to be the wrong narrative, and there's always going to be she's still going to be that person. She's still going to be that person. It's going to take a lot, and I do know that apparently she's in therapy as well. Listen, we need even the most healthiest people are in therapy. Y'all know that I watch Kev on stage. They're in therapy. Like, it's important for us to just talk to somebody that's not our parents or our pastor. So if she had a guy like Miles, one, I don't think that would, because I think that he'd speak up. I don't. I may Even if he didn't speak up, the same thing would happen. He'd end up leaving. I don't know if nothing can change them. And see, that's why I keep saying taking out either a deposit or you're on your resentment or a loan out, because I really hope it's not permanent. It cannot be. See, AW said no, that she would not be changing. Mm-mm. So yeah, a man that's too nice, a man that's just nice and agreeable. No, I don't think that she's going to change her mindset because a man is going to be nice and agreeable. Then she's going to say that he's, what did she say? Docile. So that's not, I don't think that that's going to be the situation. I got to sneeze. Excuse me. Excuse me. Yeah, I don't think that that's going to help. That's what I feel like. I feel like that there's always going to be, until you really have extensive therapy, extensive a changing of the mindset, there's always going to be something. There's always going to be, like, she would end up emasculating him, putting him down, calling him docile, weak, what have you. Um, and we're talking about communication, the creative. And I was going to call you wealth and health. I was. And we're talking about, like, communication, how a lack of communication affects a changing of the narrative. So we're talking about, what happened on Sunday night, and again, I'm not fully delivered, but I know you guys look at me and think I'm so nice and sweet, and I appreciate that, but I'm not really. Um, I've been that other person, and that's why I literally have to say to myself, and I have, like, boards of, I ask a question first before you, don't just speak to react. And that's why I'm constantly working on being an active listener. And you guys know I talk about that a lot, being an active listener. And don't sit in resentment, don't sit in your pain and your hurt, and don't and your anger. It doesn't help anything. It doesn't help a situation. So that's, yeah, we've been just chopping it up tonight, and just, you guys stay tuned for my women's panel. I got some great ladies coming on, but I really wanted to really talk about how when you come on just to be angry and just to and you've already got this angry mindset, but you're not coming on to make a change. Yeah, ask a question before you jump to assumptions. That is what I'm always saying in my head, you guys, so you guys know a little bit about me. I've told a lot about me tonight, but I always say, Crystal, ask the question, ask the question, ask the question. And that's why I've taken that type of route with my men's panel, because and only and not everybody has seen me be that other person. So, but I know that I can get there, and I know that there is. And when I took a little bit of a dive into, and Alicia's previous shows, they've called her red pill raging and stuff like that. And I know that I don't want to be the angry black woman. I know that that's not my brand. But there are ways that we can make a change. And I do feel like until you really do therapy and really take a look at yourself and take a look at in the mirror, then you'll be sabotaging your next relationships and your next one and your next one. Told you guys a little bit that I know the person that I that hurt me. I know, and I said I can't sit in that. I can't sit in that. And he doesn't look like the every black man. He damn sure don't look like the next black man. He damn sure don't look like the next one. And I got to make sure that I am better before I'm just like, I can't carry whatever issues in the past to my next relationship. That is so important. That is so important. But we also can't sit there and was like, you black men don't protect, you don't do this, you don't do that. I hate black men, calling black men coon, all of these things. You can't do that either. It's just, what does that help the situation? And I'm not even saying that she's right. Black men, we talk about protect and provide. We've done that here on this show. We've done that on other shows. I'm not saying that that's wrong, or I'm not saying that her narrative is wrong, but her delivery and her idea to beat a man down in order to get answers. Is that the reason? What was the and so that's what Jay was asking on her show, was like, what was the end result? What was the reason? What's the reason? It sure wasn't to yeah, what was the end goal? What's your goal? And that's, we really have to be goal focused in these next years of our to change the narrative. We have to be goal focused to change the narrative. Okay, Desauza. I'm not even sure she should change her mindset. Not for us. She isn't delusional about her behavior. No, she is delusional about her behavior. Her behavior is wrong, but the narrative that she speaks, her mindset, or her perspective, she has points. Her perspective, absolutely. She has a perspective. She has true points. True. But when you're yelling and screaming and cussing people out and all of these things, nobody can hear you. Nobody can hear you. And she gave a this example of, there are too many. I talked about good black men and let's focus on the good ones, and the good ones can do those things to uplift the bad black men, but there's too many bad ones. There's too many bad ones. They're all bad. They're all bad. So when you say there's too many of the bad ones, the percentage of bad black men are overtaking the good ones. That means that you think they're all the good ones are bad too. That means that you think that there are no good ones. The creative said, no one is perfect, but we all should take accountability as well. Yes, and that's what we High Vibes and I were talking about earlier, is that you even though we have to check our black men, but at the same time check ourselves and um take accountability to for our behavior in certain relationships and certain things that we've done, but and don't stick around when we know it's not good for us. Don't like we like you know what, and I'm not talking about a marriage. I'm not telling people get divorced out here or do those type of things, but I am saying it's important for us to want to be goal focused in this next phase, because and we can't just yell and scream to be combative, and we need communication is so key. And I said be an active listener, you know. So hey, first home tutor, good seeing you again. So I love that I've so D'Souza, is it D'Souza or D'Souza? Let me know. I really want to go back to what you said. So I'm not even sure she should change her mindset. It's not about changing her mindset. I think one, changing her behavior, and when you want to go on these different panels and you want to do you want are you doing it to get other people's perspective, or are you doing it just to be heard, just to yell and scream and shout? Because if that's your goal, then you're doing it. But that's not what we're here for. That's not what we're here for. Right. But her behavior is not wrong to her. She thinks that she's right. She's got to be tired. She's got to be. She's got to be tired. There are good black men out here, but honestly, if the every good black man that you meet, or if every black man that you meet, you're constantly reminded by the black one that man that hurt you, then how is that going to help? I just said that I do know the one that looks like that I've been hurt by, but he doesn't look like the next one. He damn sure don't look like the next black man that hurt me. He doesn't look like um my content creator, my counterparts. So I'm not going to sit there and berate them. It's so important for us to live past our trauma, and don't sit in our resentment, don't sit in our pain, and move past it. And I'm not going to say get over it, because I did a whole show on forgiveness, and how forgiveness is hard, and how forgiveness is a challenge. So I get it. I get that you're not going to change your mindset right away. I did a whole show on how forgiveness is not easy. You know, Chris Nathan and I, we talked about how people in our past have hurt us, but at the same time, I'm not going to sit there and beat down the next man. It's how's that going to help? Good does not mean perfect. Good does not mean perfect. So lots of good ones had to learn that good does not mean perfect. And yeah, I was going to say what's perfect for you may not be the same as perfect for somebody else. It's just good is not perfect. And what's perfect for you now, or what's perfect for you at 25, is probably not what's going to be perfect for you at 35 or 45. Because it sure ain't the same for me. It's just not. It's not. So I think that's huge. And I think that's important too. So I definitely think that we need to do another show on protecting and providing. I think that that's important, and I want to get the woman's perspective of what protection means to us, because there are a lot of other nationalities out there that are not protecting their significant others. There's white people that are not protecting their wives and girlfriends. There are, but we need to concentrate on ours in our own home. That's important too. Um, was Miss Creative saying, I'm a Christian, so no one is perfect but Jesus. I agree. I agree. No one is perfect but Jesus. And honestly, I do think for to a point, do we know what we want? Do we as yeah, do we know what we want? And do we have that vision of knowing what we want and knowing if he's not it, that we can step out of the situation and be like, you know what? Or you know what? I gotta live past this and I know that there's better out there for me. Or do we sit in it? Do we keep going? What's Future saying? Just because it's who she is, how she speaks, what she thinks, etc., doesn't mean that those things are play, placatable or socially acceptable. And you can't be upset when people can't absorb it because of that. I agree with that. I look, what she thinks and who she is not socially acceptable, absolutely not. But I do think that it's going to take some time for her to just, there's still that when you are living with whatever hurt, pain is um has affected you, you're not going to wake up in the next morning and be over it. It's going to take you some time to to um to grow from it and say, you know what, I gotta get better. I gotta to um I'm teaching my child, I don't know if she is a boy or a girl, but I'm teaching my child how to be this angry person. And how is that helping? I am nowhere near, and that's the thing. I know I'm not perfect. I know I'm not perfect. I am nowhere near perfect. So I can't expect my Boaz to be perfect. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I know I'm not perfect. I know that, like I just told you guys, I just told you two story. I just told you a story about 2 weeks ago. Like I was, had ripped into some guy. So, and I know I'm not perfect. I know that I'm still, God's not through with me yet. Um, but I know that that's not the person that I want to portray online. I know that who I want to do, the person that I want to be is somebody that's affecting change. So I know that I'm working on that. I know that in these shows that I do, that sometimes maybe I ask too many questions and I need to uh be more direct and like, but I'm not going to be that angry black woman. I'm not. I'm not. Yeah, absolutely, Crystal. Let's focus on how we are impacting others in our everyday lives, family, friends, strangers. And I honestly, that's, you know what? How are other people seeing us? That's important. I do agree that we shouldn't worry about, we shouldn't like, oh, I'm worried about how somebody sees me and things like that. But we do need to see how that's affecting, especially our children or children if we don't have children. It's so important. It's so important for us to how we're impacting how other people see us. And I do wonder, you know what I thought about that when I was watching Annalisa's one of her shows today, and she was talking about her father and a little bit about her mother, and I said, I wonder what they think about this. I wonder. And I said, they got to be used to it. They got to be used to it. I do wonder that though. This sounds a real change takes time. What are we going to do in the meantime? Because um, PC all the time is is that the solution? I don't think that's a solution. I think that you do have to find a healthy balance though, because there's no way. I work on finding other words to because y'all, that sometimes when you guys talk about, oh, look at Crystal's facial expressions, that's because my head is like, okay, what am I going to say here instead of what I really want to say? So, I mean, when y'all talk, oh gosh, what I really want to say, or, is not PC. So I PC all the time. That's probably not going to work for me. That's probably not going to work for me. But I also know that being in that that mindset is not going to work for me either. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm going to have to find an unhealthy balance or a healthy balance. So, um, yeah. So this is or the creative said, "I know I'm not perfect because I acted out of character last week and later apologized." And honestly, sometimes we have to. That's why I always say to myself, and we have to have these healthy self talks with ourselves, and we have to. Sometimes the negative self talk and the positive self talk is all healthy self talk, because when you act out, it might have been, the sad thing is the creative, it might have been a little bit of your character. Like you said, I acted out of character, but I had to apologize because that's still in there. That's still that anger, that frustration, that passion. But how we deal with certain situations is it. And so you had to apologize. And hey, being apologizing is human. It's just good that you apologized. That's it. What is our girl High Vibe saying? Or this could all be a con game for financial gain. I side eye extreme speech. What she's getting out? What is she getting out of this? What made her decide to start a YouTube channel with this rhetoric, this divisive, angry rhetoric? I do agree with you to to a point. I do think that there is something in her that feels this way, but when you feel this way, excuse me, and you don't want to find a solution, you just want to yell and scream and call people names. I do think that the only reason why she came over to Kojo's show is because she's seen his subscribers and she's seen his following. Why else would she? Absolutely, that's to gain for financial gain and to gain followers and everything. Absolutely, like that's a given. So and but when all you're doing is being that combative person and you're not finding a reason um, to make a change, to do better, to just what are the steps, the catalyst to get you to a different place in your life, that's absolutely for financial gain. I totally agree with you on that. I totally agree with, and the fact that she had to have made an announcement on her channel to say, "Hey, we're going over to this channel and everything," just to spew that angry rhetoric. Absolutely, and we have to be the ones to say, "No, that's not okay. That's not cool," and that's not the place for us. That's not our brand. That's not our brand. We're here to invoke change. And what are your ideas to invoke change? We have to be that other type of channel. We have to be those. We have to be better. That's it. I agree with you though. There's some people, and I said that to the guys, that there are people out there that just want to see you angry and just want to see us as angry Black women, and we have to be those other people. And a lot of people call that code switching, and I don't. I hear what you're saying about being code switching, but it is and it isn't. I mean, to a point, we have to, and when you're in a corporate world or when you're in a certain situation, you have to put on that brave face. But at the same time, we also know who we're dealing with. You also always have to be aware. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely, Kia. I thought about that too. I thought about that. I thought about that too. We definitely need to, we got to talk about, there's two things that I thought about. So we definitely got to talk about things offline because, yeah. So DeSalza said it's not, but it's not the first time we did that on a panel. Oh, we don't like your delivery. Bye. I'm not gonna say her name. But we didn't say we don't like your delivery by. We waited and not just waited an hour, but we we tried to get solutions. We actually tried to like ask questions, and it wasn't just like I don't like your delivery by. It definitely wasn't that. I hear what you're saying, but when we'd ask several questions, and instead of answering the last question, she's like, I'm not a woman, you can't ask me that, you're a man, why don't you know? Like, so you basically came on to berate all of us, but specifically the two of the men, and then say you don't have an answer. So, and I even say, you know what? Why couldn't you say, hey, I may not have an answer, but I know that what's going on is not right. She did say that a little bit. She did touch on that fact that that the black community is, and I can't remember the exact word that she used, because there was so much, and I think that even Lola and I said it, because there's so much, we can't even quote you. I was like, and then afterwards, I remember I was like, oh my gosh, she said everything, and she said docile, everything, but she did touch on it a little bit, and again, I'm not disputing your points, but I am disputing how you're addressing us. So the creative said, yes, Crystal, you're so right, because I can be a straight female dog if you rub me the wrong way. Yes. And and it's hard for me to just keep smiling. It keeps smiling. Like he says sometimes, she's like, okay, now Eastside Key is coming out. Like it, and I'm glad that I had to, but you guys don't know that behind the scenes, I kept opening my mic. I kept wanting to say, and to the point where I do wonder if some of these women on these shows are afraid of men. And when I say that, I was at the point was I think it was David that was trying to ask her a question. I said, you know what? Let me ask. I was like, let me ask the question. It's because I was like, why is it? Why are you skating so much that you're not even answering the question? So to the point that I really want us to get down to why why the divisiveness, why the divisiveness, and what does that help the situation? We really want to um, be catalysts for change, and we really want to but we also want to have a good time. That's another thing. We love having a good time on our shows, and that's what's crazy is like, one thing we would love to actually take deep dives, have great communication, and have a good time and have fun. And it's no fun when you're just there to berate. You know. Um. So thank you guys. So I've been wait. What is Brandy Love saying? I must say I am very proud of how everyone on the panel handled her attitude. She wanted to have an argument instead of find resolution. Exactly. So she had to go. She was trying to mess up Coach's panel platform, and that's not our goal. That's not our goal. And again, I'm so like not mama bear, but I'm so protective and loyal to, especially to my fellow so, social media commentators, that I was really having a fit. And I thank you guys, because a lot of you guys are like, Crystal, look, you and your facial expressions. And that it's so funny because, and I knew that there were people in the chat that didn't know me and didn't know the panels, because they were like, Crystal's scared. And I said, no, never scared. It wasn't that. I actually kept opening my mic, but at the same time, I know I've gotten so angry that like I was like, I'll get angry and start stuttering. Like I'm just like that mad. So we don't want that. We don't want, the angry black woman. We don't want that to create that narrative. It doesn't help the situation. And it's really lifting up the stereotype, or um the angry black man, or and she kept saying, so what is intellectually, she kept calling him intellectually dishonest. I was like, so you're basically calling him a liar. Stop trying to use big words. Stop calling us liars. It's not, how is that helping the situation? you know, we like to have a good time, but we also want to, find resolution in things. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight. I am doing the women's panel coming soon, coming very soon. And the men's panel is coming back. So I know it is December, and I'm also casting for this short film, filming January 15th. So I'm filming that January 15th. And I'm also writing a screenplay. So that's what I'm going to be doing tonight. This has been a lot of fun. I think I'm going to start doing this more often, y'all. So just come in, hang out. If I have a topic, I'll do it. And I just really appreciate you guys. If somebody wants to come on a panel, you got my email. Let's come on, let's chop it up, let's have a good time. That's what's important. Let's have a good time, but really not there to berate and belittle each other. Trey being miserable? Uh-uh. Y'all don't come from a girl, Kia Simone. Mm-mm. She's not the one, and I'm not the one. Don't do it. So, and you know what? And that's another thing. We need to really support each other. It's so important to support each other and make sure and lift each other up. And that's one of the things that I said as well is y'all support each other out there as Black people. That's and have get the visual up there that there is a different, the stereotype is not right. That is incorrect. I am so glad you could drop in. I am so glad. Thank you so much. The High Vibes, Trey Mack, to where's house? Where's a couple of you people, a couple of people that don't always come in. Desauza, I love you, girl. Future, thank you so much. High Vibes, you know what it is. First Home Tutor, thank you for hanging out. This has been so much fun. I really want to create a safe space for us to come in and hang out for the ladies and the guys. That's important because the truth is I'm not always going to agree. I'm not always going to agree, but I'm here to and just be an active listener, and I want to learn better. I haven't been perfect in my relationships, but I think it's important for the next relationship to to have that vision and to want to build with somebody. And I really want to I want to just support all of my fellow YouTubers. Trey, thank you so much, y'all. Y'all make sure and tune into Kia Simone. That is very important. Buy the book From Pain to Love. That is very important. So thank y'all. CMK after the CMK Ladies Lounge Friday night, y'all. And pray for me in these screenwriting streets. I don't write screenplays about Black men in jail. I don't write screenplays about Black men selling drugs. I don't do that. I don't that's not the narrative that I want to support. So yeah, there's a lot of great things coming. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. Oh, okay, the creative. You're in the market for a husband and a side man. Maybe that's what I need. Okay, maybe that's what I need. The creative. So y'all, thank you guys so much. Good night.